I will call this meeting to order. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we acknowledge the town of Edson is located on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral lands of the Niqawak, Saulteaux, Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and the Ipitamiswak Métis nations. We honor the knowledge of this land, the elders and youth which gather here, and our ancestors who have gathered here for centuries. Can I get a motion, please, for the adoption of the agenda? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. All those in favor? And that motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion, please, for the adoption of the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular meeting of council? Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
That the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
All right. Thank you very much, Councillor Moore. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Steve, just to let you know, the councillors' microphones aren't queuing up. They're going straight live. We have no...
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is the draft amendment bylaw 2323 for fees and charges. The background on this is really a bookkeeping item that we have just a few proposed changes would include the recycling base rate for the extended producer responsibility, reducing it from 11.23 per month to 7.25 per month. We've also included the user group fees for ball diamonds. These are not new charges. These are the current charges we have charged in 2024. We're just including it in the bylaw. And then, of course, the bookkeeping items to repeal previous bylaws, 2283, amending bylaws 2284, 2304, and 2308. With that, administration recommends that council approve all three readings of the fees and charges amendment bylaw 2323.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Council, any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I will take a motion from the floor, please. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I move that council give first reading to bylaw 2323.
Thank you. Please, go ahead, Councillor Chochka.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Chochka. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried. Can I get a motion that bylaw number 2323 be placed for third reading? Go ahead, Councillor Bevan.
Make the motion that bylaw number 2323 be placed for third reading.
Thank you. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. And can I get a motion for third reading, please? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move that council give third reading to bylaw number 2323.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I'll just say it's great news that we're able to reduce rates for our public. They're going to be saving $48 a year on recycling, and that's due to extended producer responsibility coming into place here in the province of Alberta. So that's certainly good news. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. We will move on to business items. Can I get a motion, please, for the letter of support for the Alberta Forest Products Association? We did have a presentation here last week, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion. Council authorize the mayor to sign letter of support for Alberta Forestry Producers Association.
That would be the Alberta Forest Products Association.
Yes, forest products.
Thank you, Councillor.
Quite close.
Thank you, Councillor Chenard. I'll just speak to this briefly. The Alberta Forest Products Association definitely concerned with the tariffs, as was indicated last week. They could be paying over 50% when it comes into play because of the duties that they are already paying the United States. And obviously that has a huge impact on our number one employer in our community. And forestry is a huge sector in this area of the province. So I'm certainly in support of this letter. Councillor Taylor, do you have any questions?
Through the mayor, no questions, just saying supportive of the motion and just perhaps look into the future. This might be the first of many letters that we sign from concerned members of our industries that will be affected by our tariffs. But I think it's up to this council to do what we can. And if it's just writing a letter to show our support for our industry partners, then we should do so. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other further comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We'll move on to item 2, social media policy IT-I-6-C, presented by Steve Bethgy, Communications Coordinator.
Good evening. So I'm here to present on the social media policy as we discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting. Just to review some of the changes that we made. We're combining the council and staff policies into one policy this time. We added some definitions for clarity of language throughout the policy, moved the schedules into a new procedure format. We added some FOIP laws and regulations into it. We strengthened the violation of policy clause, and we wanted a more consistent review frequency as well. Some of the considerations we discussed at the Committee of the Whole are social media responses. We've increased our engagement in our social media in the hopes to add some more context and clarity, to reduce some misinformation out there. We think that's been going really well. We discussed platforms, the potential removal of X. It's still under review. If we do stop using it, we will maintain our username and our page in case we need it for emergency purposes, or if there's an uptick in usership in Edson, which right now there's very little. I think in the last month we've had 6 likes on all of our posts that we've done on X. Our moderating practices, we value all the perspectives and we do our best to allow everybody to have their say, as long as it's done in a respectful manner. We've tightened up our page rules in Schedule A of the procedure to allow for better moderation. And to go over, I don't know if you can read that, it's a little small on the screen there. But the key changes, we added negatively targeting and personally identifying either about the poster, the town employees, elected officials, or third party. Now, this does not mean that we're going to be removing every single negative comment on Facebook. That is not the purpose of this. If we did that, we might as well just shut commenting off altogether, right? It just allows us to moderate those that are targeting and abusing officials or employees and putting out misinformation. We added unproven and inaccurate accusations against individuals or organizations, unproven or inaccurate factual claims. And at the end, we also added comments on specific posts may be turned off if the post is unrelated to town operations or if commenting is irrelevant and or not following the page rules. This is for posts like our AHS notifications that have nothing to do with town operations itself, but we end up spending all night moderating it, right? So it's to allow us to not allow comments on posts that have nothing to do with the town. Some communities have gone a little further and turned off all comments on posts that they're not directly asking for feedback, but we think that the whole purpose of this is to have that back and forth engagement a little bit. So if we get rid of all comments, then we don't get that feedback. It may not be official feedback, but it's feedback that allows us to review our processes and know what the community's thinking. So we're hopeful that these changes in the rules can allow us to have that feedback, those back and forth, in a respectful manner. And that's all I have for you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bethgy, for your presentation. Council will open the floor to questions on the revised policy that is brought forward here today. Quiet group tonight. So I'll just make a comment. I do like the changes that you made within this social media policy. I think, as you said, Mr. Bethgy, it's really important that people have the ability to comment. And when you look at the town page, there's often really great questions or concerns that are raised that sometimes the town may not be aware of. And I also think too, like, we're a municipality that does share information from our partners such as Alberta Health Services in order to ensure that our public is informed of what is going on. I know other municipalities don't necessarily do that. And it's important that we share that information, but we can also be the ones moderating and answering those questions when really we're not in the position to answer those questions. Those are questions for Alberta Health Services. So I do like to see those changes. I do think that there's a few individuals, and thankfully it's not a lot of individuals, that do sometimes go over the line and start making accusations that are completely false, and that certainly should not be tolerated. Not to say that people can't have their own opinions on policy or decisions that are being made, but when you're basically slandering members of council, saying that they're on the take, I have a big problem with that. Councillor Taylor, go ahead with your comments.
Through the mayor to council and administration, thank you to Mr. Bethges for making the changes that we talked about at committee of the whole. I know those are difficult, sometimes wording to figure out when we talk about that disinformation, and of course, that's that deliberately posting information for to trick others or to mislead others. And listen, I think you say it clearly, and the mayor said it, is that we value the freedom of expression. We do. We value people asking questions and questioning. Those are important aspects of a thriving democracy. But we also can't be the microphone for disinformation. If you wish to post that on your personal page and you have your likes and followers there, that's fine. But our page with 10,000 followers, we're not your microphone to do that. And I think Mayor Zahir said it right. It's only a select few individuals that do it. A vast majority of people are very respectful on the page, and we like to see that to continue. So I like the changes that have been made here, and I'll be voting for the policy.
Thank you. Council, any further comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimous. Oh, we haven't made the motion yet. I guess we got to make the motion. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Jeez. Councillor Taylor, go ahead.
We all voted for the motion that I made. Okay.
All right.
The council approves social media policy ITI6C as presented.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Call the question. All those in favor? The motion is carried unanimously. Again, yeah. Council committee reports. We are going to go back to the 19th and queue up if you'd like to start. Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
Just one to report. March 19th, attended Edson Public Library Board. And for the first time in a long time, we have a new chair and vice chair of our library board. Our chair is now Donna Williams, and our vice chair is Christy Williamson. So we welcome those two to the leadership of our board. And we'd like to thank past chair Robin Corser and past vice chair Sheila Buckle for all the work that they've done. They're still remaining on the board and working through some of the finishing up the renovations that are going on, the deficiencies that we have with the renovations that are being tidied up. But that's the only thing to report from that meeting.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka, and yes, on the town hall.
Thank you. On March 20th, I attended the RCMP Town Hall where Staff Sergeant Delisle talked about the priorities with the public for 2025. Lots of good discussions there. On March 28th, I had an Attraction and Retention Committee meeting for healthcare workers in Edson. We went over a conference that we're working on. We did a lot of work going on there. There is a Healthcare Heroes Healthcare Heroes promotion to recognize healthcare workers, including doctors, physicians, dentists, aides, the entire spectrum in our community. So if you have someone that you feel is worthy of recognizing and provides good service, then there's there's forms available online all over the place. I know the mayor shared it. I think the town, the county, lots of others as well to nominate your healthcare heroes, so we can pick the top 5 and provide them with the proper recognition. We did a bit of discussion. So over the past 5 months, we've been working on gathering information and trying to get an understanding of what a successful retention committee looks like and what is needed to get to a successful position and a successful position with enough physicians. And there were a few things that we identified, and one of them, they were 6 months of housing provided to a new physician coming into the community. There's quite a few reasons for that. 6 months of vehicle allowance. Some of them, if they're moving into the country, they don't actually have a vehicle, and it's hard to get a vehicle loan when you're not within the credit system of being able to get a loan, right? And then also low clinic overhead for 6 to 12 months, and that's stuff that's happening across Canada. So those are some things that we identified in our committee, and we'll continue working towards trying to achieve those objectives. And so that was that committee meeting. March 28th, I attended the Alberta Health Shape the Way second round public engagement session. So it was a great meeting. There were only 19 people there. I thought we would have had more. It was a great opportunity to voice your concerns and frustrations and the challenges that we're currently facing. There was one item of note under their what we are doing, actions being taken, and it talks about the Rural Health Professions Action Plan, and one of the bullet points was plan aims to work with municipalities to attract healthcare workers and their families to strengthen rural access to care, $6 million over 2 years. So I don't know if that means they want us to go out of the lane or stay in the lane and help us with it. I don't know. So they didn't have a lot of information on that, but I was surprised to hear that. So. And then on March 31st, I had another kind of sub-meeting with the Attraction and Retention Committee with one of the other members to prepare a presentation. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Councillor Chenard.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to March 18th because I wasn't here. We had an Evergreens in-camera Zoom meeting. And on March 21st, I had Evergreens meeting. And on March 21st, TransCanada, and I forwarded both meetings to council so you can inform what we talked about in those meetings.
Thank you, Councillor Bevan.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, and Councillor Moore.
Thank you. I also attended the March 28th meeting, refocusing healthcare, good conversations among the different groups, and a lot of the ideas out of the groups were similar, so it's nice to be on the same page as everyone else. And I'm hoping that the government takes a lot of these and they turn into fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. For myself, on the 19th, I attended the Edson District Chamber of Commerce AGM. Darlene Chenard was elected president and gave the annual update for the town of Edson as where we are for economic development. And we've seen a big increase in the amount of business licenses issued last year, which was great to see. And looking forward to continuing the work with the Chamber of Commerce. On the 20th, I attended the Moving Edson AGM. Unfortunately, Councillor Pasichny is not here to give the highlights, but they've seen a huge amount of growth over the last year in terms of the service that they are providing to the community. That is putting pressure on their operational budgets. It's easy to come by for grants for capital. It's certainly harder for operational. So they are looking at ways in order to try to increase revenues. Obviously, when you're doing, $5 or $6 a trip or whatever it is, increasing it even by $1 is not going to amount for the amount that you need to raise to operate the bus. So they are working on getting a couple more buses that they're paying for through grants. I know the town has allocated some funds as well to upgrade from their existing fleet, which is very aged and pretty noisy and rough to ride around town. So there's a lot of work happening there as well. They are going ahead with their trivia night. They have rescheduled it to October, so not to compete with the Parkland School fundraiser that's happening that night. So look forward to seeing their growth over the next year. Following that, attended the RCMP Town Hall. Pretty decent turnout there, talking about crime in the community. And once again, I'm very thankful that Staff Sergeant Delisle takes the time to hear from the public and shape those policing priorities. And then on the 28th, along with Councillor Chachka and Councillor Moore and the Deputy Mayor of the county, attended the Refocusing Healthcare consultation. Left some materials back in the council office for anybody that's interested. Like Councillor Moore said, a lot of the same themes with the various tables that were there. And I think that, you know, my colleague at the county, or Deputy Mayor at the county, made a very good comment, was it doesn't matter how you reshape healthcare, doesn't matter what you call it, people just want access, and that's not happening right now. And so to have ER closures in communities the size of Edson and larger is not acceptable. And we talked about some of the things we're seeing on the committee with job ads that are being made by a preschooler. And different things, that there really needs to be a better focus from those in those areas to work on recruitment and ensuring that our doctors and medical professionals are taken care of. So anybody that wants to provide feedback that could not attend the consultation, it was during the day, so it wasn't very convenient for people, you can go to the website alberta.ca/lead the way, and I do encourage them to leave their feedback with the government on that. And that is my report. We will move on to information items. Can I get a motion, please, to accept the information items set out in attachment 1 for information? Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
I so move.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns on the Citizens on Patrol review of 2024 activities? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried. We have no notices of motion, so I will take a motion to go into closed session. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion, go into closed session.
Pursuant to sections 21, 23, 24, and 25 of the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. All right, thank you everyone for your patience. We are at a closed session. We do have some motions to be taken from the floor. We'll start with Councillor Chachka. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Thank you. I move that council direct that the lease for the Edson Medical Center Corporation be reduced from $137,000 to $0 for the next 5 years to support recruitment and retention of physicians as of April 1st, 2025.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Thank you. Through the mayor to council, I would like to speak to this. In my role as chair on the Attraction and Retention Committee, we have been trying to find a way to position our region in a competitive and desirable fashion so that we do not get in a situation of desperation like other communities in Canada currently find themselves. So this is would be very helpful towards that assessment.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chachka. Any other comments from council on this motion? I will just echo what Councillor Chachka said and also point out that this is our town council taking a stance of supporting our physicians and our medical community and our community as a whole. As we realize that healthcare is in a bit of shambles here in the province and throughout the country, we are stepping outside of our lane here. And this is borne on municipal taxpayers, where we have failures within a provincial system and a system as a whole throughout the country. So this will hopefully provide some stability to physicians that are currently here, as well as those that are looking to move to our community, as Councillor Chachka alluded to. So I'm in support of this motion. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried unanimously. And I believe we have another motion to be made here this evening. Councillor Taylor.
I move that council direct administration to proceed with negotiations on the YCE operating agreement with Yellowhead County.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I'll just mention we're very excited to see construction starts next week, and this is going to be an excellent project for our community. And I want to thank everybody involved to get us to this point. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried, and we will adjourn this meeting at 9:21.